afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar on updating your LinkedIn profile. My name is Jodi Hammer, and I am your host today. I am the Career Services Specialist for National Peace Corps Association's Global Reentry Program. That's a mouthful. In my job, I have the distinct honor of working with all of you, RPCVs, helping you with items and topics related to your own job search. So I'm excited to be here with you today and to talk about LinkedIn and give you some tips. And then we're going to leave a lot of time also for questions. So I think that's very important as well. So thank you for tuning in, and we appreciate your patience in waiting a few extra minutes. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about first why LinkedIn. I think most of you probably already realize this, whether or not you like it. You probably realize that LinkedIn is pretty important. It's actually the best and most expansive professional networking tool online that's out there, and it's worldwide. Really, it's not just even limited to the States. So it's pretty much worldwide with a few exceptions. So it allows recruiters love it because they can use LinkedIn to identify strong candidates very easily and quickly, especially when the user makes their profile, searchable. And when you're in a job search, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But making your profile searchable to external sources, you can get a lot more connections and contacts from employers. So that can be very helpful. But LinkedIn is also important for the job seeker, right? And anyone who's looking to get information about different fields or connect with people who are in different fields. So it's equally important for you, the job seeker, to be able to do your searches on LinkedIn and be able to connect with people who might be helpful to you in many ways, and who might be able to help you with getting more insight into a certain industry, for example, or for a connections, people, expanding your reach, meeting new people, maybe meeting other RPCVs when you move to a new city. So it can be a social aspect as well, but it's kind of it's the most professional connection tool that's really out there. Okay. You also, it's also important because employers do check LinkedIn profiles generally before they make a hiring decision. I mean, some will do that before they even invite someone to an interview. They'll check out your LinkedIn profile that you either provided within your resume or what have you, or that they find when they do that search, right? So and the majority of employers do check. So some may not, but most of them, it's pretty easy to do. It's like, hey, this seems like a really good candidate. Let's just check her out on LinkedIn, see what we can find, right? And they can gain a lot of information there, good and bad. So I think it's really important that people do take the extra time and make the effort to spend some time on your profile and really get that in good shape before you're doing a job search. And it's really recommended to keep your LinkedIn profile up to date and check it regularly as well. And I mean, I myself am guilty of this in terms of I took a bit of a hiatus right after I timed out of my Peace Corps job, and I really wasn't checking my LinkedIn at all, right? And granted, if you're working, like I'm now working with the NPCA, I love my job, I'm not looking to change per se, right? So if you're in one job, sometimes what happens is your LinkedIn profile becomes stagnant because you don't really spend the time to update it because you're happy where you are and all of that. But it actually is really important to continue connecting and just even, keeping up on industry standards and different industries and, what's going on in them, right? Because someday, like it or not, it may be because you decide you want to do a different job, or maybe a company goes out of business or downsizing where you're unfortunately out of a job and you need to look elsewhere. So it's a lot easier to keep it strong and keep your connections active rather than just redo it every time you want to get a job, or however frequently or infrequently that is. So I hope that makes sense to folks. And I do have Lexi here behind the scenes. And Lexi, you can certainly let me know. I'll try to open my chat box here as well. But if there are questions, if you do have questions as I'm going along on these different, things that I'm talking about, feel free to throw those into, into the chat box, and I can certainly answer them now or later. Okay, great. All right, so let's continue on here. So one of the first things that I talk to people about is updating your profile photo, right? That should be something that is professional, right? It doesn't have to be professionally taken. You don't have to spend lots of money hiring a professional photographer to take a picture. Some people do, but you really don't need to. In today's day and age, even your cell phones have decent cameras for what you're going to need the resolution on, your profile pic. So don't worry about spending money. And that's, I think, especially important when you are unemployed and, you're coming back from Peace Corps, you don't have a lot of, savings or money um, to spend. So you can get a very good one just having someone else, take a shot of you. But another important thing is make sure, some people will say, there's a lot of different thoughts out there, right, on what is the best profile photo, right? But in general, people agree that it's things that are not, you don't want to cut yourself out of a picture where maybe it was you and a group of friends and you were taking a picture and you were maybe, you had your champagne or your, wine or beer and you were cheering, and just cutting everyone else out and just having it be you. I don't care if it's a great picture of you. You don't want that visible, like I'm cutting people out, and you certainly don't want alcohol in your headshot. So make sure that you keep those kinds of things in mind as well. Just have it be ideally you alone, or really you in action. If you're in the kind of profession where you could get a picture of you in action, for example, as a trainer myself, it would be great, if I had a picture, where I'm delivering a training and they get kind of this, close up, more or less, but it's of me actually, looking away from the camera and more to my audience, right? The problem for me is I'm very expressive, and so in cameras, it's really hard for me to get a decent photo shot when I'm in action because they always come out looking kind of funny. But if you can do that, that's awesome. Not mandatory, but it's great. So okay, let's see. Next, updating your LinkedIn headline. Now, your headline, right, is most will agree that, many will say that that's your most critical part, right? And I put down here the 3-second rule because basically this is what they see. They see your picture and then your headline, which is basically kind of your title, right? So it defaults, if you don't put anything else, it'll default to the most recent job title, right? And you may choose to use your job title. If you are employed, you could use your job title and that's okay. But if you are looking to try to, for another job, you would be much better served to try to get a headline, that shows your value proposition. Like, what do you bring to the table? So what are the kinds of skills or attributes that you really have, right? And you have, like, I think it's 130 characters to work with. It's 130 or 150, I think, but so it's not many, but it's enough really to have it. It's definitely more than just putting your a job title or your most recent job title, right? So you could add some things to that, right? You could separate it by like the line and I'll show you an example of this on the next slide. But a line like the ups, I don't even know what you call it, the divider line that's like, it's vertical, right? Going up and down. I forget if that's even called. If anyone knows, put it in the chat box. That would be great. But you could have several different, maybe, titles. Doesn't have to be your official title. It could be, what are the roles that you've played? What are the key attributes you bring? That kind of thing. It's really the so what. Like, why am I important? Like, what do I bring to the table? Because really here, when an employer is only spending, maybe 3 seconds looking at, just scanning to see if they're going to give it more attention, right? Or just go on to the next one, they're looking at that headline. And that headline, if it is well done, it can be really helpful in getting you to that next stage. If it's not so well done, you might well get scanned over. Okay. So I'm going to show you here. There's a little more information on, the headline, and This is actually from LinkedIn, and I would advise you, any of you who are, interested in updating your profile, they have really good help information on the on uh, on their tutorials, their online tutorials about everything from updating your, headline to, what should you write in your summary, and all kinds of great information. So everything that I'm talking about, I'm sure that they would have things. Not all of my sources are from that, but it definitely is worth checking out. And if you do, even I'm gonna send you several really good sources in the follow up email that I always send. And I'm going to send you several great resources for updating your profile, your LinkedIn profile. But you could also do a Google search of best way to update your profile for job seeker or something, like that. If you're a job seeker, if you're not a job seeker, maybe it's for someone looking to connect, whatever, expand your connections. There's so much good information out there from, not only for this one, from Jobscan, which is a great organization we're gonna highlight in a little bit. For another aspect, from LinkedIn itself, from the Muse, which is one of my favorite sources for everything career. If in fact, you can put, interviewing tips or how to make your headline, LinkedIn, the Muse, and you'll get some great. Chances are you'll get some really great tips from them. So as I said, your headline is the most critical part, right? It's what they see first. When they're just seeing the little snippet, that's what they're seeing, right? So if you're doing a job search, for example, you want to make sure, or even if not, right? Can you think of maybe the keywords that you would want to be found for? What's the kind of opportunities that you're looking for, right? Is it project management? Is it, monitoring and evaluation? Whatever it is, right? And then work those in, because you do have a little more space there. So for example, this Melania here on the bottom of the screen, you'll see here. So she has put in best-selling author, LinkedIn Unlocked, right? That's like her probably her book that she wrote. So she's an author, great, accomplished author. Client attraction on demand, that's something she offers or she specializes in, probably, right? Leading B2B companies through a digital transformation. These are her strengths, probably. So from that, I would gather that she's looking to connect with people who are either looking to bring on a consultant to help them with, digital transformation or client attraction. Like, that's her business, right? So it doesn't have her title per se, I mean, of consultant, right? Even in there, but it could. But instead, she has the #1 best-selling author. Like, that's impressive. Now you notice she also has a little picture of her, LinkedIn Unlocked, like her book that she did. Now I have not read that book, that specific book. Um, I'm sure it's good, but she has different. Look at these other snippets that she has in her background of her presenting, her talking, right? She's probably a keynote and gets paid for that as well. So, oh, yes, she is. It says actually right here on the upper left, keynote speaker, LinkedIn expert, social selling speaker and trainer. That is what she wants to be known for, so that when people are looking through profiles and they see this, it's like, that's exactly what we want. So, they know what she's wanting to be searched out for. If that makes sense, just that, I hope. Are there any questions on this so far? Okay, so we'll go ahead. So yeah, just include at least one of those kind of things that you want to be, known for in your header. And it's not a bad idea to use up the whole 130 or whatever it is. It's not very much. That's not a long space anyway, but it's best to, it's not that you have to, but if there are things you want to say, you could certainly get those in there and have the, dividers to separate those. Okay. Okay, let's see here. All righty. So I have mine here, and I'm certainly not reporting that my profile pic is the best. I'm actually in the process. I need to update that. But it's just, a headshot, right? So your profile pic could be a headshot. It could be you in action, whatever. But what I wanted to show you here on this page is, this shows, right, like the up in the upper right, my lovely attempt at I just was writing, with the doodle, and, and that's my pseudo, kind of oval, if you will, trying to circle the words edit, public profile, and URL. and you can go, that's how you would edit it, right? You would go onto, when you're in LinkedIn, you would click on the me button that shows your picture. It's usually in, I think, the upper right hand corner. And then you can choose from here. You'll get this where it kind of comes with your, your base where you're starting from. And then you can go in and you can edit any part of your, of your profile, right? Of your LinkedIn profile. So we're going to talk about your URL in a moment as well and why that's important. Okay. So I have right now, it is simply my title, and that's fine. But you certainly could, I could certainly add some additional items to that as well. Okay. So let's talk about customizing your URL, which I was talking about. Your LinkedIn URL is basically your personalized website within LinkedIn. So it's, if somebody puts in that URL, they're going to get directly to your profile, okay, without having to search and all of that. So it is pretty important. Now, I don't know why, but LinkedIn, when when you first put your profile on, it's going to assign you this random one, obviously, and it has to be unique, right? But it generally has all these numbers and just part of your name. It's really, it's kind of funky. And so I'm not a big fan of using the default that they create, because it's not something that you're going to want to probably like include on your resume and that, because it's so hard for people to replicate it, right? Like sometimes they can just click on it, but other times, if they're trying to, it doesn't make sense. So what you really want to do is simplify and customize your URL as another key tip to for your LinkedIn page, regardless of whether you're a job seeker or very content in a job right now. And it's super easy to do, right? And the advantages, again, as I said, if it's just your name, that's great, but sometimes that's taken, right? Let's realize that there's a lot of people in this world, and somebody else may well have your name. So if you can get your name, first name, last name, great. If you can't, think about adding some kind of, maybe a number or some kind of numbers behind it that's easy to remember, or whatnot, just to adapt it so that it's professional. You don't want it to be, I mean, I know there's some funny ones where, but I would urge you to not probably make a URL that's really funny unless you're going into comedy, because you just don't know somebody's, their sense of humor. So I would keep it pretty professional, and either have your name with some kind of whatever variation to be able to get it, and you'll be able to test it. You'll be able to keep putting things in, and they'll tell you taken, or you can have it or whatever. So you just keep working at that. And again, as I set up here, when you're on your main, you go to your me, little picture of you in the upper right, and it's going to bring you to this one, and then click on right here, the edit public profile and URL, and that's going to walk you right through it. What do you want it to be? It'll show you what it is and what do you want it to be. So it's not hard to do, but very important. It is a good idea to include your URL on your job search applications, for example. It's really nice when it's on your resume, because it makes it easy for them to not have to go looking for you. They can just go, oh, great, let me look at her on LinkedIn, right? They're still going to do it if you don't have it on there. So it's not like you're going to save them anything, but it might be nice to steer them to the correct one, especially if you have a very common name and they could get to another one that maybe isn't so professional. So I definitely think it's a good idea to include your your LinkedIn profile. Okay. All righty. Any questions so far? I'm looking in the chat box right now, and it's yeah, I'm looking at, I think these were the items that you all were dropping in the beginning. Well, some very recently, but let's see. Particular struggle. Okay, great. So I'm just looking at some of the things that you had questions about specifically. Yep. Someone asked, actually, and this is a good one to probably cover now, knowing how much I should be engaging in the platform, who I'm following, should I be commenting on things, how extensive does my profile need to be? All great questions, Elena. And I will tell you, I absolutely would recommend engaging on the platform, because like I said, it's a great way for you to connect to other people, for recruiters to connect with you, provided you make your profile, searchable. You can do that up in that first part as well, when you go in to edit your profile and URL. So I do think that it's a good platform. If I mean, it's so, let's face it, I mean, in today's day and age, many jobs are gotten through networking, right? And it's not the networking like, just, oh, hey, my name is whatever, will you refer me for this job? No, it's it comes out of knowing somebody or meeting somebody. Maybe you do an informational interview, a career chat, as I call it, with somebody. You stay in touch with them. They work for your ideal company. And later you reconnect with them and you're like, hey, thanks so much for, chatting with me, a few months ago. It really helped. And I'm proud to say, or, I'm happy to say I've, made progress in this, da, 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 and I've just recently come across a job that looks like a perfect fit for me at your organization. Not sure if you're at all familiar with this, a department, but I'm excited about the prospect of blah, 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 blah. I would welcome any insight you might have, like something like that. And then they very well might know that department or of that department. Maybe they've worked there before. Maybe they know somebody in that department. And they might very well say, I do know someone who works there. If you want more information on, kind of what the details are with it, let me connect you with them. So that's how it works. And, yes, you're going to have to still prove yourself, right? I mean, they're not going to just hire you generally just because you were referred by somebody. That happens sometimes in today's day and age still, but not a lot. In general, you may be fast tracked, you get by the whole first part, but you're still probably going to be interviewed. And then, they want to see that you know your stuff and all of that. So, but it's helpful. So, yes, I would absolutely be engaging on it. Now, would I spend all day every day, like all the time? I mean, no. Once it takes a little time to get your profile up and, go through one of the self tutorials that they have, on LinkedIn or some of the other ones. Take those, take the advice that, are come in those different articles that I'll be forwarding on, for you as well. So definitely, or take what works for you and leave the rest, of course, as always. And, make your, profile as strong as you can. And once you get it done, it's not going to take that long to keep it up. Now, as a job seeker, you're probably going to be checking it every day or two because, you are looking to connect with people and you maybe are putting things out there. And, when you're in more of a job search mode, that becomes more important, right? So yeah. And with regard to, who you're following, the platform, you want to follow industry professionals, right? Connections that you've made, RPCVs who work in that field, right? Experts. You want to probably, join some groups. You can join, there's a ton of groups, right? Networking groups and on LinkedIn, right? And there's the RPCV group on LinkedIn, right? RPC, the big general one. So there's lots of different groups that you'd want to get connected with, and in it for a variety of reasons. Number one, you can stay up to date on what's happening in that industry or in that sector or with that group, what people are working on, right? It could be your passion areas. Maybe your passion area is immigration. You're not working in immigration at all right now, but refugee, asylum, immigration, you could get on some groups related to that, get some really good articles. Look at that stuff. Definitely like things and share things. Share some articles, when you're in those groups. That basically leads to your credibility. You don't want to do it too much, right? Where it's like every single day you're putting something up, but you want to become known in those circles. And when they see your name, they're like, oh yeah, well, and that just gives you the more of the persona. If you're sharing, informative, intelligent materials, people then start to think of you as, kind of a leader in a sense, right? Or somebody who's in the know and somebody they might turn to. So it's like it really can help as well increase your profile and your connection to people. And then people, when are trying to connect, when they recognize your name, it's a little easier as well. So that can just, there's so many reasons, why you want to do that, right? um your profile, in terms of how extensive it needs to be, that is, I would say, I mean, that's up to you. It doesn't need to be every single thing you've done, certainly, at all, right? Some people will really put, a similar, like, it's not designed to be, I mean, the traditional, right? The traditional like resume type of one is if you're looking to get something up quickly and you don't have much, time and whatever, and you can copy and paste. You can copy and paste your like your basically your resume, right? Your content under the experiences if you want, but it's really designed. LinkedIn is designed to really allow you more opportunity. You can speak in the first person, for example. I work in this area and I, da, 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 contributing to, you don't want to have too much I where it's like I. That's not so good either, right? But the resume version of, of doing your LinkedIn is one way, but LinkedIn will advise you, and most will advise you to, if you're searching for a job. I mean, if you're happy in your job, whatever, and you're just putting up your background and experience, you could certainly, do that. But if you are trying to do a job search, instead of just putting up what your resume says, because it's not meant to really regurgitate your resume verbatim. It's meant to kind of show the whole you and kind of, you in a more personalized way, right? So you could choose to explain maybe one of your sentences, your experiences in one or two sentences, and that's it for one of them, right? You might even leave something off and just keep, some of the pertinent things. So it's totally up to you in that regard. So Elena, I'm answering kind of all those questions at once, and we can talk more about this as well. But I wanted to certainly address some of those up front here. Okay. Mike asks, and this is a good one. What's the difference between keywords and headline? Okay, so your headline is that whole little kind of tagline, if you will, or where generically people would put their like job title, right? That's what they could do. So your headline is that whole thing. The key words are the items that you use, the words that you use. And this comes down to, what are the words that are most important in the field or in the kinds of jobs? What are those key words that you are looking to really spotlight? What do you want to be sought out for, right? So it really, the keywords are within the headline, okay? And keywords are really within your whole profile, right? But those are super, super important. That's a good question, and it is important, the difference between that. So all right, so let's go ahead and look at one thing you can do is LinkedIn optimization by Jobscan. So Jobscan is, I have the URL up here on the right. You can see, jobscan.co and then /LinkedIn optimization. What's good about that site, that's a great feature of this site. Jobscan is a really good resource for people in general. I would urge you to go to Jobscan and just kind of like look at what's available. Now, some of their things are free, others are for a charge. Now, what they offer, they definitely do at least one free one. And there have been times where I think they've done 5 free. But once you get your LinkedIn like profile set where you feel good about it, right? You feel like it speaks to you and whatever. What they'll do is they'll have you scan your LinkedIn profile. They'll have you dump it into, actually, they'll usually say like upload it here or whatever, scan the words and stuff, right? And then the content, and then it will ask you to do that. It can do that, period. But then it will ask you for a job description or two that's very indicative of the kind of job that you're going for. So if you're looking for a program manager position, right, you're going to find maybe one of the, positions that you really are applying for now and you want to, really do a great job on, and you'll copy that content in as well, right? They'll walk you through the process. It's super easy. And what's great is it will show you, it will do this like LinkedIn optimization, assessment for you to see how well does your LinkedIn profile match the kinds of jobs that you're looking for in detail, like down to certain words that are in your LinkedIn, but not there, or vice versa, right? So it can be super helpful to you in thinking about, how can I make my LinkedIn profile, best, really pop and come to the top, right? When people are scanning. So it's just a great resource, right? And like I said, take a look at their other things too. They have really good information on resumes and cover letters and, all of that, resources, things like that. Now, I am not advocating their paid, and I have no idea. I forget. It's been a while since I've looked. I forget how much they even charge, for the optimization now. It may be something that you think, is worth it, to do for one, or whatever more above the limit. But I think you get one, it's somewhere between 1 and 5 free. So take advantage of that and learn from it. So you can do the same thing with your resume. You can do an optimization for your resume to see how well that is targeting. And when I say it's really detailed, I mean like it it'll say like this is part of the report, right? Where it will have the findings. And so it has kind of your overall, like, okay, it's 61% match to what those kind of jobs that you were, submitting. So there's room for improvement, right? So you look at, how can you improve in it, right? So it'll show you, great, you have your first and last name provided, great, you have your profile pic, good. So check, check, check. But there are certain things that you don't have then, right? That if you continue on with this, right, where you go through the report, like if you do it, it's going to like come down to certain words that'll show up in all of that. So it's a pretty cool tool. Again, it's jobscan.co, and it's on the upper right hand corner here, the direct link, the LinkedIn optimization. The resume has a different, URL. I think it's resume dot or dash optimization, but you can see by going to there. Just go to the jobscan.co and you can go from there. Okay. Awesome. Questions on that so far? If there are, please dump them in the chat box. I have it open here as well. This is something that came from Harvard, their School of Public Health, and I really like the how they, I'm going to send you this, a link to this as well. But what I like so much about it is that it has the hyperlinks within each thing, and you go to there and there's additional information that's really helpful. So I feel like if you need an overhaul of your profile, or you need to create one regardless from scratch, boom, start with this, document, the headline, it'll walk you through, and you'll enter the things. It's pretty, it's well done. I really like this source. So we've already talked about a lot of the things on here. The professional, the headline, all of that. Here's another example where they talk about like components of your work. You might just have, healthcare communications professional, writer and editor, event planner, and those are even different kinds of skill sets sometimes, right? Because let's face it, sometimes we're looking at various types of jobs. We're not always looking at just one job type. So you can have some different ones, in there as well. Okay. You can have a combination, you can have your career goal, right? So the one up on top, career goal and focus, public health graduate student focused on biochemical and molecular nutrition. That's a very specialized one. That is somebody who knows exactly what he or she wants to do. They're, so fine. They have that in there for now, and that's just fine. But you can also highlight your accomplishments or kind of a combination. So that's good. The photo we've already talked about, the professional attire, all of that. And look at that stat there. Profiles with photos are 14 times more likely to be viewed. And, I typically get the question from some people saying, I don't really want to have my photo up there, either because, I'm not comfortable with it, or, I don't really want to like advertise that I'm looking so much. And so they might not, when there's not a picture, whatever. You can choose to do that, but it is, I will say, it is considered a red flag in many ways of why, like, I wonder why they're not, sharing a photo. So just, take it for what it's worth. Okay. Your summary, right? Your summary, the intro, of yourself. You're going to include more of, those keywords. And in this guide, like this is referencing, which again, you'll be able to look, more at that, but it can help you, they have some questions that can actually help you as you're preparing, your summary, right? Your summary is generally like 3 to 5, well, it can be up to 3 to 5 paragraphs long. For some people it's less, for others, it's maybe longer, but I think the 3 to 5 that's plenty, right? But you can really tailor kind of your experiences and such. So that's cool. You can add additional sections, right, into your into your story, right? So when they say, you have your profile and you have your different, when I showed you that picture of me, or I'm sorry, of me, or of the sample person that was here, let me go back to it real quick. it was right here, this one, where they had, add profile section right here, just, in blue, the blue little, rectangle there. You can just click on that and you can add a profile section. And some of the examples for that are things like projects, right, that you've done, or maybe it's certifications or courses, right, languages, which can be really helpful, right? If you are an author, publications, or go in the media field and looking to, that's very important, publications, your volunteer opportunities, maybe you're interested, kind of like what I said, remember, where maybe you're working in a very different field, but you're interested and your passion is in, refugee asylum, whatever, some sort of, that area. Well, maybe you have volunteer opportunities in that. You could even label that as refugee asylum, whatever, experience, or, community service, whatever, volunteer work, that kind of thing. So that's very, very helpful. Your experience section is basically, like I said, that kind of more version of your resume, and you're going to incorporate those keywords and accomplishments there as well. That's really important, not only for your resume, but also for your LinkedIn profile. Use it's your experience in and of itself. Every experience that you have, you want to think about kind of that so what, right? That what was the outcome? What did, how did that affect change? So incorporating that kind of language in, whether it was, achieved a 15% increase in, blah, 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 whatever, nutrition, whatever, and go on with your sentence, like having that kind of outcome, or numbers, how many people, that can be great as well, to include. Okay. So the skills and endorsements, that is actually a pretty, it's an interesting and, I think, useful one, right? Um, and you customize it because basically other people can endorse you, right, in those things. So there's a change in, if you've been on LinkedIn for some time, there has been a more recent change in that now only the first 3 skills are going to be listed and visible. Before, they would have that whole, remember, they'd have that whole like listing of all those different skills, and then you'd have like all these pictures of people that, like, endorse you, whatever. Well, now they have, so the first 3 skills are listed, and then you have to click on a view button to see more. So you want to make sure to prioritize those in the order in which is most important for the kinds of jobs you're looking for if you're in the job search, right? So, and you can go and learn more about those changes by, when I send that link to you, by going to that link. Okay. And then you have recommendations from past, supervisors or coworkers, your colleagues, right? Clients, lots of things, fellow students, depending on what your situation is, right? Who do know you well, and that can really help to build the credibility of your profile. Having recommendations, people who are speaking about you on behalf of you, attesting to the fact that you are a really strong, dedicated, professional in whatever area. Those things that they do know, right? They're not going to necessarily be able to speak to all types of your background, but different people can speak to different areas. So that's what's nice about having a variety of people. And then you can put media links, right? And that can be links that take them to either, websites, or maybe it's a video of you in action. Maybe it was delivering something in your Peace Corps service, right? Or whatever. It could be a PowerPoint presentation you've done, whatever. It could be an article you've written, right? So depending on what what kinds of things you're trying to, prove, those media links can be really helpful. There also is the availability when you're doing within your experience. And I remember a former colleague of mine, had done this very well. He, instead of giving a lot of, information on kind of the background of Peace Corps and stuff, he dropped the Kennedy, the big speech on Peace Corps, one of the really, important ones. He dropped a link to that to let people listen to that, right? Why, why spend time talking about, or whatever, when I can get that part across with this really pretty moving video, and then I can spend time more on other things. So there is some really cool stuff that you can list as, with your media and stuff. Okay. And then turn it, yeah, this next one where they're talking about, that's a good, it's a good link, the 18 ways to turn your profile into a portfolio, where you could really have your different accomplishments and things, and it'll help you to really make it even more so like that. Okay. And then your header, of course, your header can be added to your free LinkedIn account. Now there are some things that I always want to answer this question too, because there's the free version of LinkedIn, which is your basic, which is the one that I recommend everyone have, right? The expanded or premium version is expensive. I mean, it's something per month. It's a monthly charge. I don't know. Does anyone know what the premium is right now? Is it like 30 bucks a month? If you know, just drop it in the chat box. I don't honestly recall, but I know that it's definitely money that, if you're looking at trying to be um, you know, very smart with your money and your limited money, I would not generally recommend that you sign up to pay for the premium account. It just doesn't make sense, because you can get basically the things that you need and access to some of the things that even are come out with the premium without having to pay that money. And an example would be, you have a limited number of people searches that you can do per month in LinkedIn. But so when you do like a people search, and you profile search, so you do a people search, when it comes up and it has all these people listed, if you click on one of those links, every time you click on one of those links, that's going to actually tally against you for like viewing, right, from a search. But if you instead write down or copy that down, like what you have in the name, whatever, and you open it in a separate window at a later time, guess what? It doesn't count against you. So those are a couple of the ways that prove that you don't necessarily have to pay for some of the premium things. And it's more oh wow, okay, Lexi, thank you. So it's they have 4 tiers from $29.99 to $59.99 per month for job seekers, and then it's more for sales professionals up it's 80 per month or $79.99, and then for recruiters more than that. Now they get additional things too, and it's very helpful for like recruiters, because there are additional tools to like go through quickly, and there are it makes sense in that regard. But as a job seeker, what I would recommend that you do, instead of paying the amount per month, I would encourage you to, in a month that you're going to have adequate time to really use it, they have you activate your free premium membership for a month. Just make sure that you cancel it, because I think what you need to do, if I recall correctly, you have to put in your credit card information, like so many of these free trial for a month. And then if you forget to tell them before that 30 days, guess what? You start getting charged. So you don't want that to happen. So make sure that you make a big calendar announcement and like don't forget to. But if you do it for a month, then I would say go for it and do as many searches as you can, as extensive as you can, looking at different people for that month. You're going to already have connected with people, and then you'll have a good base, and you'll be able to go forth without having to necessarily pay that per month, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, it is a lot. You're right, Naomi. It really is. Okay, so I want to ask some more questions, because basically we are close to the end here, and we did get a little late start, so I'm certainly willing to stay on. But I do understand and value. I respect your need to. If you do need to leave now, I certainly understand that. Let's go ahead and just see what questions. Has this made sense? I hope, making sense, and I'll refer you to many other resources that are, the experts on it as well. So I'm just going to go up and see what we have in the follow the NPCA YouTube channel. Oh, so you can watch the recording later. Yes, exactly. Rachel, do you have that ready, easily accessible, the NPCA YouTube channel? I just don't when I'm in this view. If you do, drop it in the chat box so that folks can copy that down. That is definitely the best way to listen to topics on a variety of or webinars on a variety of topics. Basically, all of the ones that I've been doing since April, twice a week, and then the podcast, all of that. The podcasts don't show up there. The podcasts are on Spotify, but there is a link from our careers page as well. But if you go to the YouTube, and we can send that. We can. Oh, great, she's got it. Excellent. So it's the Peace Corps Connect, right? So it's just the youtube.com/user/Peace Corps Connect. Great. And then you can get access to, all the different ones, and listen to those at your leisure. Go back and listen to a part if it didn't make sense, that kind of thing. Okay, great. So other questions, keep them coming, and I'm going to go up here and see what other issues folks had. Yeah, I already touched on, great, Naomi, the pros and cons of having, the paid. Yep, exactly. We've answered the other one here. Let me just, I have a new one that just came in. Let's see what we have. Are all webinars recorded and posted on the YouTube page? Yes, basically all webinars are recorded and posted there. All of the global reentry ones, so all of the ones that my program does, my colleague Dan and myself, NPCA might do some additional ones that wouldn't go on the global reentry program, because that's more of the one that's for, kind of career and, transition and, a focus. Like NPCA will have their main, YouTube page, part of that they'll have it like partitioned off, some of the stuff. So, but all of the ones go, yeah. Oh, great. And there's the YouTube, the shortened link that Lexi just put in the chat box is, I think, the direct one to the global reentry one. So for all of the job search related ones, and I think the grad school ones that we did, things like that, right? But for the podcast, if you're interested in listening to any of the podcasts, we always do a career search. We do a career Q&A the first Wednesday of the month, every month. So those are always recorded. So there's lots of different topics talked about. But there's also ones on specific topics, industry sector spotlights, as well as our conversations with, RPCV leaders in action. So there's some good ones there as well. So I would strongly recommend listening to some of those too. So, okay, let's see here. I'm going up to the areas that people were most, I think, frustrated by, or let's see here. Right. Yep. So that branding, Rachel, branding me in a nutshell. Yep. Yeah, branding there's a lot of talk. It's a buzzword, right? And it is important. What you're developing when you're creating your LinkedIn profile is you're creating your brand, right? So depending on the kind of things that you put in there, the kind of, headers that you have, maybe the kinds of attachments you might, upload or whatever, you're going to be branding yourself. And it's when they say that's more like, okay, what is your brand? What is your, like, either your skill set that you're really looking to, tap into in your next job, or the arena, what sector, and your experience in that, it could be as well. So it's kind of an interesting concept. If you do some more, if you do like a Google search on, branding yourself on LinkedIn, you're going to get a ton of stuff there as well, right? Some of it is also like matching your different profile types of thing, or maybe it's matching your LinkedIn account with, or matching your, cover letter style, at the top with your header, with your resume style. So things like that can be branding yourself as well. Let's see. Toby asks, if you are seeking employment in 2 different industries, would it turn off an employer in one industry to see that you're also seeking employment in another industry on your profile? Well, now, specifically, where are you meaning, like, in what kind of keywords you're putting in there? If you're talking about like how you're structuring your keywords and what kinds of things that you're putting in that may not be as applicable for one area, I wouldn't worry about that at all, because honestly, your keywords, right, are indicative of oftentimes what your skill set is. So you could have that skill set from the past, and it's not, you know what I mean? Like but that's your overall that you just have in there. You're like casting your wide net of just putting out, kind of your difference. Like, this is who I am. This is part of who I'm at. And I'm really interested in your opportunity because it allows me to, right? And so they realize that you're not going to necessarily be, able to do, in most cases, you won't be probably able to do every single thing or keyword. You might have diverse interests that you realize that maybe you'll do, 50% or 70%, in a job. And the 30% that you equally do have those strong skills, you might not be doing in your next job, right? Hope that makes sense. Okay, and Toby, you added, I was thinking of the header. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Like the headline? The headline, or... Yes, the headline. Yeah, and that's what I mean by, how I said you could put your different skill sets there, or you could put titles, or you could put a combination of different areas. You might have one of those, I said to separate them by that straight up and down line, whatever that's called. right? I have to figure out what that's called. And so you might have those different things still listed, and I don't think it's going to turn off somebody to say, oh gosh, he has monitoring and evaluation. We're not, that's not this job. No, like that. I mean, that's a skill set that you have, but it may not be, required in that. Okay. I hope that makes sense. All right. Are there any other questions coming in? You're welcome, Toby. Any other questions coming in? I don't see any yet, but are there any other ones that maybe I've missed from above? If there was a question from early on, feel free to copy it and put it at the bottom of the chat box here, and I'll do my best to answer anything. Oh, great, Rachel, you're suggesting a webinar topic. Thank you. And you know what? We always are open to and want ideas for topics. So thank you. So you asked, could you ever do a webinar where you take a look at a few examples of an RPCV job seeker LinkedIn profile? Yeah, that's a really good idea. And interesting that you say it, because one of the things that I am trying to do is tap into some connections at Facebook to see if we can get a Facebook employee who obviously would be like the expert, right? And have them come and do something like this. And I think getting a volunteer, and I would imagine that we'd have a lot of volunteers, Rachel, yourself included, perhaps, to be that guinea pig, to have their profile, assessed, and looked at for how you could improve that. So I think that's a great idea. If you would be interested in, being featured as that, go ahead and shoot me an email, and I will definitely see. And I'm putting my email in the chat box right now, and you could certainly send me a message and just say, hey, I'd be willing to be, the guinea pig for a, LinkedIn, because I am trying to do that already. I don't know when it will happen, but I'd love to say, I would love to say sometime in December. It gets kind of hard with the holidays, although we're all on, COVID lockdown these days, so maybe not. So yes, I would love to have that happen soon. So yeah, so shoot me an email, Rachel, if you're interested in that, and I will also put that on our topics to be considered. And lastly, I do want to say one thing about that as well. If you have other topics for suggestions for a future webinar, please let me know. You can email me or just drop some of the things right here if you have some off the top of your head. We also do have, I actually, in the information that I'm going to send you, there's going to be a link to a Google Doc survey, and it's just going to be, you can put your suggestions there too. We would love more suggestions, because, I don't want to repeat. I've worked really hard to not repeat verbatim, one topic. I always try to put a different spin on it and try to expand and do some additional things. So, yeah. Okay, great. So, oh, look, nice. Is that what it's called? According to Google, the vertical line has many names: vertibar, V-bar, stick, vertical line. Okay, that's obvious. That's easy. Vertical slash, bar, pike, or pipe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to you, and thank you to Google. Google's amazing, Toby. Or not Toby, who did that one? Megan, thank you so much. I appreciate that insight. I'll now use that, one of those many options. So if there are other questions, please let me know. And otherwise, what we'll do is I'll go ahead and stop the recording. And then if you do have additional questions, and you want to ask it more, on a one-on-one basis or whatever, you can certainly stay on as well. So that works definitely too. Okay. So thank you everyone for coming today, and I look forward to hopefully hearing from you and have you participate in future workshops. Thank you for your suggestions, and always available to help in any way possible. Thank you. Bye-bye.